New thing to smash, mate. Weight. Needs to be heavy enough for what?
No thanks, I'm just browsing.
Try that.
That still works.
Mate, if I were her, I'd be like, can you not do that? I just fling them around. Hey, sorry, any store, anywhere. I feel like, I don't know, Americans chime in. Anywhere in the UK, you start doing this stuff and someone comes over to you like, can you not? Yeah, that's what I mean. Well, it's inexpensive, right? It's a bit of a junk shop, but still. On the wrong day, mate. That's just going flying.
I could let that go for 30.
Sense. What ski, mate? 3 balls, 3 bells. Hello and welcome to another Better Call Saul Sunday. That's right, today we are on episode 4 of season 5. It is called Namaste. Let us see what it holds. Flamingo check. Bless me, Father, for I will sin. The father's a flamingo, you get it. Mike. Very artfully taking your shoes off, well done. Oh, 2 pairs of shoes. Oh, sorry, really? I see. Hello. Absolutely. That is a man waiting to be spanked. Sorry, what? Yum yum. Teeth brushing again, eh? Little bit of business as usual. Or at least both exhausted. Tired. There you go.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I am.
Finally doing that lunch with Howard.
Yes.
Yesterday was bad. Today I'm gonna fix it.
Cool.
Sounds like a plan.
I wonder if she is going to get in trouble for going to see him. Feels like he's not going to stay quiet.
Get on lot 2375.
Brushing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. She let go for a second and now she's tightly back in control. Responsible again, you know. Got that guy's back on.
Great. I'll walk you through what I need when I get in.
It's funny, they're both fluctuating. You know, I talk about Jimmy and Saul and that is the obvious one. But Kim, I think my commentary on her has been quite back and forth. I don't think that's by accident. Her and her ideology is very much on the side of, okay, she is the responsible one. She is very much, that's her goal, that's her path. They're kind of on opposite paths while both slipping back and forth. While I think now we're in season 5, Kim is after going through that stage of getting in on the schemes with Jimmy. She's very much kind of more firmly back on the path of good, of righteous, of doing the right thing. Whereas Jimmy, Saul, very much on the path of doing the wrong thing. But you do see a little bit of Jimmy coming back through, right? The Jimmy coming through in Saul, it's rarer for sure. But it's the same with Kim, right? This thing of she's not doing the schemes anymore. She drew that line. She doesn't want to. But we saw last episode that she's slipping back a little bit, right? Do you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, they're both kind of mirror images of each other, but from the opposite end of the spectrum almost. It's really interesting, the comparison, the contrast that those two characters are. Not just in the ideologies of good and bad, but also how they are kind of morally fluctuating a little bit back and forth while their primary goal path is good or bad. Kim and Saul respectively.
Gentlemen have had a busy week, huh?
Hey.
Somehow you two are short on priors, so your unfortunate dependence on hard drug. We're gonna have to argue for rehab or probation.
Hells no. I hate rehab.
Guys.
Don't get all into twists.
Uh-huh.
I've heard that there exist certain less than reputable establishments that will,
Of course.
without the pleasure of your actual attendance.
No place like that?
Nothing like genuine rehabilitation, eh? Now look at this, right? We have that scene, the last scene with Kim cleaning up her mess, cleaning up her bad deed, the good covering the bad. And we have here Saul almost doing a good thing here, being like, okay, rehabilitation, you know, let's get you back on track. No, not quite. Covering up the good with the bad of, no, don't worry, we can get around it. You don't have to actually go. One scene after the other, very on purpose, very much showing you, like I say, this contrast, how they are kind of going through the same character journey, just the opposite.
You go, you don't go. That's between you and your God. Tell the judge you'll go, and you gotta sound like you mean it.
Yeah, okay.
There are many, many misdemeanors, which include graffiti,
Go on, run down the list.
littering, public,
Come on, guys. Littering.
5 months?
down from 5 years. All that's left is my fee.
You think they can pay you? These guys have not taken that into account.
About
You're gonna go too high.
$4 grand, all in.
Say what? Yo, what about 50% off?
Yeah, it was going to be 8 grand.
Now, my normal rate would be $4K each.
Yeah.
Free lawyers? Public fenders.
And you'll probably be in jail for longer.
You're saying that you want a free lawyer?
Saul's going to grill him.
Ever hear the phrase, you get what you pay for, you Nick? Mm-hmm. They're going to lock you up and throw away the key. You go ahead and play Russian roulette with a public pretender. You twerps even know who I am? I am Saul Goodman.
Yes, you are.
Yesterday, I got paid $8K just for the afternoon.
He did.
You're lucky I'm even talking to you. You know what?
Come on.
Trying Hank's thing. Technique.
We're back on the same page, though. Payment.
Yeah.
Yeah, he learned a lot from Hanky Boy, eh?
No, you cannot pay me with the money you stole. Anybody you haven't already fleeced?
My grandma.
Man.
Grandma, she's perfect. Okay,
Wow, didn't even blink, did he?
coming out.
He's absolutely fleecing him as well, isn't he? Like that 4 grand, that's way too much, right? Hello, Marco. Yeah. Touches the ring. A little bit of comfort maybe, you know, Marco, before he goes into the situation I don't think he wants to do, right? He's kept putting this off.
A District of New Mexico. That's me. Your gavel work is legendary.
Thank you.
Great, I'll put this in. I'll be right back with your drink.
What's the order? Bit of coffee. Come on, tease me. That's fine. It's a very nice place.
Saul Goodman. Am I allowed to call you Jimmy?
My professional name, but my friends still call me Jimmy. You can too.
Very much not labeling him as a friend. There was separation there. My friends call me that. You can too, because you're not a friend, but you can call me that too. You know what I mean? Very, very much separation in the language he used. Distancing. I get it though. This is his past life, right? Howard to him probably seems a lot like Chuck. You know, that's the connection. That's how he knew him. You know, Howard's very much from his past that he wants to get away from.
Well, tell me about Saul Goodman.
Nice. I think Howard's actually interested on a personal level.
If he's not Jimmy McGill, who is he?
Even if it's not just because he wants to get to know Jimmy, even if it's just because, again, this guilt from Chuck and what happened with that situation, motivating him to want to make sure that his brother's okay. Maybe some of that too.
Saul Goodman is, he's the last line of defense for the little guy. He's a life raft. You getting stepped on, he's a sharp stick. You got Goliath on your back. Saul's the guy with the slingshot. He's a righter of wrongs. That's Saul Goodman.
And it's funny as well, isn't it? Because Saul Goodman and everything that he sells Saul Goodman as, quite hollow. It's not really true, right? That's not necessarily the motivation. Guess who is doing that though? Kim. Very much doing the same thing, but not quite in the same way. But everything that he just said describes Kim. And she's the genuine article. She is genuinely all of those things. And we know that. Again, so interesting, isn't it? This, this comparison. It's so strong between them this episode so far.
Wow.
It's funny though as well, like I do feel like Saul in this moment is selling, you know, he's got that selling voice on. I think there's a little bit of insecurity there. I think also being sat against Howard. Howard represents, like I say, this past of insecurity, of not ever feeling like he's enough. This association with Chuck and HHM and that life and that kind of position, if he'd have ever got that. He never quite felt like he belonged there. He never really felt like he deserved to be there because of Chuck and all that trauma and everything else, right? Howard now, I think, in the show represents that for him. And so I think that's selling. You know, he's selling Saul. He's like, look at how good Saul is. Look at how good it is what I'm doing. And, you know, bless him, Howard smiling and being like, oh, that's really good. And I think from his perspective, it's like, good. Chuck's brother, he's doing well. I can rest easy a little bit, right? Because I feel like, again, that's his motivation, at least to my mind right now, of I need to make sure that Chuck, his brother, is doing okay for Chuck. You know, I need to look after him because I messed up there. So I gotta help. The only kind of connection that I have that I can help. And I think the reason that Saul is selling in the way that he's doing is, like you say, he's trying to really just raise Saul on a pedestal to be like, look how good, look how great this is. And I think there's insecurity there. He didn't have to sell it in the way that I think he did. I think the tone of voice that Bob uses when he does that sort of stuff, it's very obvious when he does it. And it's almost like, why would he do that in this situation, this very personal situation where they're just sat, it's just those two. He's not actually selling anything here. Why would he do that? I think it's the insecurity that he feels.
Couldn't Jimmy McGill do all that?
Now we're getting into it.
I understand why you changed your name.
Is that right?
Hammond McGill did you wrong.
Hello.
Your name is a part of that firm. Now it's tainted. We took your legacy away from you.
You say so, Howard.
No, I've been thinking about this a lot.
Bless him.
We should have hired you.
That's ancient history.
It is for you, yeah.
You deserved a shot.
You did.
And I could have given it to you.
You could have.
When you got barred, or when you brought a sandpiper, both times. I should have shown some backbone. It would have been the right thing to do.
That's big of you to admit.
You had this cleansing moment of clarity, Howard.
But it's too late. Saul's not in a place to take that anymore. He's not. It's too little too late. This is great. I love this. I love that Howard's come at him and said these things. I just said, a lot of this is from guilt and Chuck and everything. But I think we have seen also in the show that Howard is empathetic. There's a lot more to him than just the kind of clean-cut lawyer, the kind of cutthroat corporate big boy. There's more to him than that. I think he does care. He's not perfect. He messes up just like anyone else, and we've seen that too. But I do honestly think that there is a little bit of a gem in him of, like I say, that empathy. So yeah, sure. Guilt. That's probably there too, and maybe initially motivated. But I think there's an undercurrent of that, or even now, maybe honestly, most of it, genuinely, retrospectively looking back at everything that happened, examining it, like he just said, and gaining some clarity for that, and being like, I should have maybe done this differently or this differently. Why didn't I? And I think Chuck's death and everything that happened there probably gave him a lot of perspective on everything that happened and how Chuck had a bit of a hold over him as well. And it looks like he's been doing some soul searching. I really like that character progress from him. That's really nice to see. Again, it's just kind of painful that it's too little too late. And I don't particularly blame, Jimmy for kind of being like, ancient history, don't worry about it. It's sad that that's where we're at, but that is where we're at. But it's also big of him to admit that.
Let me be clear.
He's offering you a job.
Interested in yesterday.
Yeah.
Missed an opportunity with you.
It's
time to correct that.
There we go. Lovely. He's not going to take it.
I'd like you to come work at HHM.
Ooh, he's wavering. That hit him a little bit. That means a lot. Yeah, take another sip, it's fine.
You want me to work for you after all this that's happened between us?
As far as I'm concerned, that's between you and Chuck.
Yeah.
Before you offer me a job, you might want to call your buddy, Cliff Main.
This isn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. I've been
thinking about it for a
considering
while.
this for a while.
Huh, yeah.
At the scholarship committee, you spoke
Yes.
about that young woman.
And he turned up in that meeting.
You stood up for her, and that got me thinking. About judgment and honesty.
Beautiful.
And when you kicked my ass last year, you weren't wrong. You say what you mean.
Oh, come on. I hate this. I hate it because this is beautiful. This is everything we wanted in like the first, 3 seasons of the show. But unfortunately, it's not that time anymore. Too much has happened. Jimmy he can't come back now. He's made too many decisions. And this is kind of beautiful, actually, because this feels almost like a Walter moment of he could have made it so much easier for himself. And sorry, I forget the name of the company. But his friends who offered him the amazing job that would have given him the money, the status, everything that he was trying to seek through Heisenberg. And he could have done that at any time. And he didn't because of his own ego and where he was in life and who he was. And this kind of feels like that a little bit. Because actually now, anything that he does, he could be, like he's made too many decisions and kind of become, Jimmy, a person that is so entrenched in this ego, this soul now, this, I can't work within the system because it's not fair to me. I can never be the winner in that system. He's kind of indoctrinated himself onto that path so diligently, so irreversibly now because of the decisions he's made. Howard mentions that meeting with Christie, and that was one of the moments when he did what he did and he made a good case. And unfortunately, it wasn't enough, and that was enough to kind of show him like almost a straw that broke the camel's back that made him make the decisions that he did. And so, sorry, now I do feel like he's almost this person that I think Walter was, at least on the inside, at least suppressed, as we meet him at the beginning of Breaking Bad, and is why he can't take that job. And now Howard is kind of giving Jimmy the same opportunity now to stop all of this, to prevent all of these woes. I mean, there's a question as well, can Jimmy really get out of the cartels now? Lalo's got his claws in him, do you know what I mean? I'm not entirely sure he could. He'd have to be super honest about that, to Howard, but would Howard even bring him on at that point? Probably not. Could Howard get him out? Maybe. Who knows? Don't know. But this right here, to me, is so similar to that moment of Walter and the company. And it's almost like after this point now, anything that happens, it's like that didn't necessarily have to happen. It is slightly different to Walter. Like I say, I think Jimmy is too far in to what he's doing in very real ways, like I say, with the cartels, you know, so it's not quite the same. He doesn't necessarily have the same amount of freedom, but it feels like a very similar decision to that, which kind of puts things into a different perspective, actually, from an audience, from my perspective, because I'm like, you should take this, what you were doing, and in that boardroom as well, all you had to do, like, you were wrong. Like, this is kind of an argument to say that he was wrong, and actually, he just needs to be a bit patient, play the long game. He's in a position of power on that board, and if he keeps fighting, look, you know, and there's an alternate reality where if he keeps fighting, no one listens, right? We've got a very unique character in Howard that he did listen, he did see, and he's had this history with Jimmy where actually he has that very personal aspect to it that has made him see as well. Maybe a little bit of that guilt coming in. Who knows? But yeah, if Jimmy, I mean, again, you could say this for any point in the show, really. If Jimmy had less trauma, he had more strength of character, strength of mind, strength of self, right? Because his sense of self is so insecure, so small. He doesn't value himself at all. If he had more of these things, he might in this moment be able to identify that, okay, there's an opportunity here. Yeah, I made the decisions that I did for reasons that I did, but do I have to do that anymore? I've got this on a platter right now. And the right decision would be to stop and be like, give me a couple days to think about this, and then take it and do things on the straight and narrow, because that's the opportunity that you have now. Again, the cartels are a bit of a thorn in the side of that, but sorry, such an interesting place now to put him in. Like, you know, this journey that we've been on, and then this thing comes in right towards the end here, Howard, with this opportunity, this offer, that still the show is like trying to give him ways out.
You're smart. You're scrappy. You're a go-getter.
Yeah, he is.
You don't wait for things to happen, you make them happen. HHM is a grown
Wow.
and could use someone like you.
Yeah, and he's actually acknowledging all the good aspects to Jimmy. He's actually seeing them for the first time now. And maybe it took getting Chuck out of the way for him to see that. Shouldn't have. It shouldn't have taken that long. It's sad that it did. And that's probably why, you know, Jimmy's not in a place to be able to take this. But it's rare that someone like Howard, professional, in power, lists Jimmy's merits seriously. This is part of Jimmy's problem, is that he hasn't had that in life. And in fact, actually with Chuck, he's had someone that's been taking him down a peg again and again and again and again, which is why his self-worth is nothing. But this is huge, because it's and maybe there's an aspect of Jimmy that's like, I don't believe you, because I don't believe that about myself, because again, this self-worth, this lack of self-worth probably coming in, right? That's what makes this painful, you know, because it's everything that Jimmy needs, but he's not in a place to take it. He's not in a place to receive that.
I could use you. Charlie Hustle.
Howard,
You don't have to answer right now.
Fair? Yeah.
Let's just enjoy lunch.
Nice.
But do me a favor.
Think about it.
Live with it for a bit. Okay?
You can't ask for further than that, buddy. I want to talk about this face here for a second. I think you can read a lot into this expression. I think there's disbelief, hope too, but I think there's also a feeling of powerlessness. Howard isn't listening to Jimmy, and as well, fundamentally, not understanding where Jimmy is at mentally and how much of a sucker punch this is for him. Jimmy doesn't want to hear this. It's poison to him now that he's done all this work to process and get past it all. And now Howard won't even listen. Howard is forcing him to stew, to sit in it, not listening to him when Jimmy says it's all in the past and he's done. Jimmy wasn't prepared for this. As well as this, I think in this expression there's unsurety for the first time in a while. He was so sure in this path of Saul, and suddenly what Howard says here dismantles that. It's an alternate path, a path Jimmy never thought would ever be available to him. It also questions this bitter worldview he has, and there's panic in this expression. Suddenly he starts to wonder, was I wrong? All of these nuances to the situation and the way I think it makes Jimmy feel contributes to the way he acts later in the episode, because it's too much to handle. So instead he throws it away violently. It's a hot potato he's now holding that he can't hold for too long, or everything he's built will burn. Come to Kim with it. Yeah.
Thanks for taking the time.
Oh, I love Howard for that. Oh. Jimmy, man, you're so closed off. Open yourself. He's making a genuine effort, and I think he means it. Namaste. Okay. It's funny, that word, isn't it? I don't know, maybe I'm reaching a little bit here, but I feel like a lot of people appropriate that word. I don't know, it comes across as fake is the word that I would use. It's interesting, him looking at the car and the number plate and it says Namaste. I don't know, I just kind of feel like maybe he's looking at it that way, right? By the way, when I say fake, I just mean that I think some people, not everybody, but I do think some people use that word not necessarily understanding its full meaning, and they just use it quite casually, which I think is perhaps where some of the accusations of appropriation come into play. I am by no means, by the way, an expert on this, so please, you know, chime in the comments if you know more about this than I do. I'm just kind of trying to play with what I'm given here, right? Name of the episode on the number plate, and I guess at least my interpretation of that, yeah, like I say, is something hollow. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes people say that and it can come across a little bit hollow because it's like, do you really understand that? Again, like I say, I'm sure not everybody is coming from that perspective. But anyway, that is the idea that's rooted in my mind now. And it just feels like it being on Howard's car is a little bit significant. Jimmy looking at it, right? And it's like fake, hollow. Is it really true, right? Everything that Howard just said, and Saul maybe looking at it and being like, can I trust that? Can I believe that truly? Is it real? Is it substantial? Or the question being, what is the right decision? Do I take it or do I carry on where I am?
And we remain well under budget.
You know, I like to hear that.
Not fully happy though.
One more piece of call center business I feel we need to discuss.
Okay.
Might rub some people up the wrong way here, Kim, I feel. I don't know what this is, but...
I think we need to reconsider the other contender, lot 2375.
Why? You gotta sell this though, mate.
Speed up our construction, but make for a more efficient operation overall. And over the long term...
Paige, not happy.
Ousting a man from his house, it's never a good look.
Let me ask this real plainly.
It was firm. That little look that Kim gave to Paige, it was very firm. It's never a good look, you know? A little bit of steel in her gaze. Good, right? A little bit of judgment this here.
It's never a good look.
A little bit of steel there, isn't there? Yeah.
1102 our land or not?
It is.
Are we in the right?
I mean, you're not in the right, but...
As far as the law goes, yes.
As far as the law goes, language. No, you're not in the right. As far as the law goes, yes, for the purposes of your question. Yeah. Bit of shade been shot at him from Kim there.
I settled it. Not gonna let anybody chase me off. This fellow wants to make a fuss. Well, it's our land and our right to do with it what we want.
You came in after... Jeez.
We've already offered him a sum for relocation far greater than what we've paid any of his neighbors.
Right, but shouldn't that tell you... It's all of these perspectives, isn't it? Shouldn't that tell you that you should have paid his neighbours more then? If you offered him more. You only offered him more because he kicked up more of a fuss. If they had kicked up more of a fuss, would you have paid them more? Yes, you would have. So why didn't you? Because you were trying to grease as much money out of this situation as possible, you know? And they persuade themselves they're in the right and they're not at all. You know, Kevin talking about like, oh, well, it's our land. Are we in the right? Cool. As far as the law goes, cool. It's our land then, yeah? Cool. Okay. Well, you know, look, I'm not going to let someone chase me off. And it's like, okay, you appreciate that for yourself. How do you not appreciate that's his perspective? Because you absolutely know that Everett is like, I'm not going to be chased off. And guess who was there first, Kevin? Do you know what I mean? Like, their perspectives are so warped.
How about we get the lights?
Yeah, all right then.
They've persuaded themselves fully that they're in the right and they're fine.
Our institutional clients are strong, but...
Let it go. You got to let it go. How we doing?
What are you doing here?
It's Thursday. It's my day.
Is it?
Why'd Emily come? Maybe it's better if you just sit this one out.
Next time.
I'm sorry.
No, Kaylee's fine.
Honey, I'm okay. I wouldn't tell you I was okay if I wasn't.
Listen to her, though, that she's the mum.
And if Kaylee brings up Maddie?
I'll be okay.
It's a long pause there, mate.
Look, what if maybe you come for dinner sometime next week?
Perfect.
You deserve a little break. Let you get back to yourself.
You take that, Mike.
Get back to myself?
Oh, come on. Get yourself together.
Something's going on with you. But I'd be more comfortable if you didn't sit for Kaylee for tonight.
Yeah, fair. And you're being really reasonable about it, too. You're not saying never, just not tonight. Calm down. This is the problem. I get it. He's losing control. He doesn't have control. He lost control of Werner, lost control of that situation. That went the way it went. His relationship with Gus, the control he had over being able to finance Kaylee and her mum, gone, which gives him a lot less control over his own life, his own finances, but also taking care of them. Now he's lost control of himself, literally, in front of Kaylee. And he's losing privileges and rights to see her too. Do you know, I get it. I do. But he's got to deal with that.
Is the person who robbed you present in the court today? And could you point him out?
Watching Saul, eh?
And since the camera system wasn't working... You're the only one who saw the perpetrator.
Damn.
Sounds like it happened pretty fast, but you say you got a good look at him. You feel confident that you can identify this person. That's what you're saying.
It's him.
Are you sure that's the person? There's no doubt in your mind. Take your time.
Have you put someone else
It's him. Now, would you be surprised,
in that seat?
Mr. Harkness, that the person you just pointed to is not the defendant?
What?
And my client is in the back of the courtroom. Hey, would you please stand up?
Objection.
Now, the person you ID'd is named Howard.
They look very similar.
He has a very good alibi for the night in question.
Your Honor.
Is that allowed?
Mr. Goodman. Really?
Right.
You didn't recognize him either, Your Honor.
Settle.
It's kind of hilarious though. Kind of genius. I'm not being funny though. And as well. And like, look, Jimmy's not doing good things. We all know. We can all agree. At the same time, he is sort of masterfully manipulating the law and using all of the rules and the language. He's testing people here and literally disproving without a shadow of a doubt that actually you can't recognize him. And actually it's funny because what Jimmy is doing here is similar to what Kevin's doing. They're both using the law for their own ends to get what they need, what they want, to get their money, essentially, right? Kevin and Jimmy, not the same people. And actually, for who's perpetrating the most harm, definitely Kevin, right? He has more power, more reach, made a bunch of people homeless. And that's just one project. We have no idea what he's been doing his entire life to get him there, right? And then you got to ask yourself as well, and I'm going to be generous to Jimmy here. I don't know the circumstances of this robbery, but the guy nabbed the cash out of the register. Why? Was that perhaps because he's struggling for cash? Because he's poorer? Probably working class? I'm just saying, if he was earning enough money to live and feed himself, pay for his rent, pay for his drugs or his alcohol or whatever he does to relax, if he had enough money to do all of that, he wouldn't be nabbing stuff from the register, would he? So there's an angle you can come at in regard to this of actually what Jimmy's doing here isn't as harmful in the grand scheme as someone like Kevin. And actually in the same way that like Kim's not responsible in her job in trying to boot Everett out of his house. She's just a worker. She's just doing her job. She's working as best she can in the system. So is Jimmy. He's not the one who has made it. So people like this guy who are on trial for taking cash out of a register, Jimmy's not at fault because people are that desperate. That's our governments, the people in power. Again, coming back to what we were talking about last episode, Jimmy's just working within that system and working with what is put into his lap. So again, you get this kind of comparison between Kim and Jimmy, again, of they are just the ones working within these systems. Sure, absolutely, you can go deeper as I've done and talk about the morality of the situation, but when we're just talking about, I suppose the politics of the situation, Jimmy and Kim aren't to blame. And actually, they're just doing their job in a system that doesn't look after people.
And I will see counsel in my chambers now.
Kind of genius.
Bit unorthodox.
No, but yeah.
Two sweetest words in the English language. Mistrial. Is everything okay?
Yeah. It's just...
Come on, talk.
I have a case in Tucumcari. And there's something I want to discuss.
A scheme? Because she can't get it through the proper channels. Interesting. Wow, she's really putting her foot in it, isn't she? There we go, both of them. Flitting back and forth, aren't they? And again, and I'll repeat, the only reason the two of them are having to do these things is because they're playing in an unfair system. And we've talked about this before as well in regard to Jimmy and Winner and people perceiving him differently to other people for various reasons. Everything that I've just talked about in the courtroom and, the kind of capitalist regime and the unfair systems that we have based on poor governance. The only reason we have Kim and Jimmy and both of them going down these paths is because the rules of our societies, the systems that we have in place, don't work properly. There's a lot of unfairness, a lot of injustice, and all they're doing is identifying that. Really, if you boil it down, identifying that and making sure they get the thing done. In Kim's case, more so the good thing, right?
I forgot to cover the fryer. Don't worry, I'll get it. Thanks, man. Sure.
This guy is the best. I love him. I don't like that I don't remember him from Breaking Bad.
Everything all right, Mr. Frank? This is acceptable to you?
Oh, come on. Don't you lash out, Gus, because things aren't going perfectly for you.
I thought Sean did a good job. I'm not seeing anything.
I understand.
Like, now that I look closer, I'll take care of it.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Bless that kid, though. Taking it on himself instead of putting it on to Sean. Good leader. Oh, hello.
Culvert. That's a weird word. Maybe French. It's not French. Anyone walk around talking about the majestic culverts of Spain? Who the hell goes around talking? Target is approaching. Position 2.
Thank God.
Roll back 30 yards. If I can see he can too. I'm gonna keep him nice and relaxed. Like your mom on date night. Your left hand every night.
Oh, God.
Is it okay, Mr. Frank?
This guy's a real one. Gus, come on.
You can go home, Lyle.
Oh, God. There's nothing wrong with it.
Right, just let me try again. I can get this right for you, sir.
Lyle, there is nothing wrong with it. He's going through some stuff.
If you would like to take another crack at it, then go ahead.
Thank you.
Lyle, ask him what is the issue. I like how this scene really drives home this point of the working class are dirt to those in power, that the show has been riding with more strongly for the last couple of episodes. This fear in Lyle at getting something wrong despite being a good worker, a good leader. Not only that, his thank you. Not only is he symbolized as this image of low value, he's made to thank his boss who's only treated him unfairly here. It doesn't matter who is or isn't right, or who is or isn't to blame for something, the one in ultimate power gets the last say. This quite often ends in unfair treatment and dehumanizes us. Oh man, Mike and Gus not handling the breakup well, are they?
Kept off the lens there, Gummy.
Screw you.
Is Gus gonna lash out at Lyle, do you think? Like he's waiting.
You make us?
Hank's gonna... No, okay. Sorry, I was gonna say that Hank's gonna put that together.
God damn it.
The tension, the franticness of each scene flashing back and forth, you know, because you kind of feel tense for Lyle. I feel like all of the tension actually comes from that scene, because you know Hank and Gomi are safe. You don't really care about that guy going for the drop. Do you know what I mean? Like, that scene doesn't have a lot of tension. Actually, this scene loses a lot if you don't have the scene with Lyle next to it. You know, I think Lyle has actually, for a very minor character, been set up really well in the minds and hearts of the audience, as I like him. You know, I honestly, like, because I do, and you know, he's such a solid guy, right? And it's so brilliantly set up, because obviously Gus, you kind of know, is taking it out on Lyle a little bit, right? There's nothing wrong with the fryer. Also, you know, just in case you weren't on Lyle's side, you have the moment with the Sean where he's like, I left the thing off the fryer, and he's like, don't worry, I'll get it. And then Gus says what he says, and then Lyle takes it on himself and covers for Deshaun. A very relatable, very human, very good act that as the audience has you looking at Lyle being like, oh, Lyle, you know, really puts you on his side. And then obviously the way that that scene plays out, and now he's frantically trying to scrub it. And also I think the scene has planted in your mind as the audience that actually Gus might take something out on him here. He's not having a good time. We know what Gus is capable of. There's a little sliver that gets in your head that Gus is going to do something. Right? So this is what I mean. That scene with Lyle and Gus is where the tension is. And then the music obviously plays over both of them, which kind of, you know, fast, it's kind of serious, right? Which also lends itself to that feeling in the audience, you know, injecting that into the audience. Because I don't think this scene here actually naturally has a lot of tension in it, just by its nature. And so actually all of the tension and that fear and that kind of edge of the seatness that you kind of get as the audience, I think comes from that scene with Lyle. And so placing them next to each other and flicking back and forth is such a beautifully delivered device to make you as the audience feel a little tense in this moment. And like I say, interestingly enough, it comes from the scene that's quite normal, where there's nothing really happening, right? It's just a restaurant manager's just cleaning a fryer, you know? It's really like interesting that that's where the tension comes from. Come on, Lyle, you got it. It's clean. It's so clean. I'm just like... Like, look at that thing, you know, he is going over every inch too, bless him. Damn, Hanky Boy's good. It's so clean, come on. Maybe after he gets this call, Gus will calm down and be like, well done, mate, I'm so sorry, actually. I'm just going through some stuff. Yeah.
Nice and slow.
Oof, that little blink from Hank, he's tense. Oh, my boy. Oof. Buddy. So they had a plan to naturally get him away and not rile Hank and Gomi, make them suspicious. And that's what Gus is listening for, waiting for.
Let's spelunk.
Oh, you're going after him. Mate, you need to hurry up. Sorry, I am. Again, I'm just looking after Lyle, you know? I need him to call Gus and be like, it's all good. Go. Yeah, I suppose Hank and Gomi wouldn't have known that he had a car waiting. Why would he have, right?
Damn. We sure took a bite out of crime tonight, McGruff.
Hank.
Booby prize.
Suspicious, isn't he?
I want to go upstream, Gomi, not downstream.
Hungry.
Here goes.
All righty. I just want to thank you all for a successful operation. We got ourselves a buttload of money.
I love how just before this we see that he's very much not happy. And we saw that in Breaking Bad, right? You know, he'd give these speeches and then he'd walk out and be like, nah, it's hopeless, mate. Nah, but you got to keep morale up. I love that we're seeing that here. Right, now get off Lyle's back, please, mate.
Went down like it was supposed to.
Right. Oh, Lyle boy. Well done, mate.
Mr. Frank, I was just about to come find you.
You can go home.
Don't you start rolling your sleeves up, mate.
You think it's okay? It's clean?
It is acceptable.
This is the thing. I don't think Gus would ever do anything to Lyle. Like I say, he has a lot of care for his workers, but it makes you feel like he's going to. He's losing control of the situation too, you know, and that's why he's riled up, right? That little movement there as he put things just slightly back into position. They need to be exactly right, you know, nothing out of place. Everything has to be perfect because nothing else is right now. You know, very similar with Mike. Him and Mike actually similar in the way that they kind of are and the way that they're kind of going through these situations where they've lost a lot of control from their lives and they're spiraling a little bit or getting angry, right? That's what we saw from Mike. And obviously, you know, Gus, as much as he's gonna spiral, he's very in control in general, right? So this for him is a lot. But for both of them, you know, I think in the scenes that we've seen this episode, angry, you know, you see it on their faces, barely controlled because of the situations they're in, this lack of control. Interesting how, you know, these two kind of main stories of the show, Kim, Jimmy, Mike, Gus, mirroring one another. Kim and Jimmy in the way that I've talked about, and now Gus and Mike too. Okay, what's the scheme?
Who the hell are you?
Ooh.
Miss Saul Goodman, I'm an attorney.
I've headed up to here with you Mesa Verde scumbags.
Take a look at my proposal.
I don't want it.
Just look at it.
I mean, you got to argue this is have been cooked up to try and make sure he stays where he is by Kim.
A man, a horse.
Sir, I hate Mesa Verde. I hate down at us from their glass tower.
Yeah.
I'm the guy who'll do whatever it takes to stick it to them.
Beautiful. Listen.
That's the best news I've heard all day. How the hell did you convince him?
Visual aids?
This is going to blow up in Kim's face. Mesa Verde, Paige, going to find out. They're going to put it together. It might even be a simple slip up, right? They'll get wind of Jimmy, Saul, and then someone will recognize them both. Or so, I don't know, something. Okay. What are we doing? Bowling ball. Okay, now run. Namaste. Really, Howard, huh? That is a nice house. God damn. Just anger? Lashing out? Almost an... Sorry. Sorry, yeah, like it feels a bit like how dare you come to me now, almost. You know, the meeting and what Howard offered him. How dare you come to me now, when that would have saved my life if you'd have done it when it mattered. Because I do get it to a certain extent too. It's like, cool, to you, it doesn't matter what happened in the past, but it does to me. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what Howard said. It's like, it doesn't matter what happened in the past, I'm just interested in the future. And it's like, sure. And I get that. And I still feel the way that I felt in regard to that, in regard to Howard and all of the good things I said. But from Jimmy's perspective, it's like too little, too late. I said that too, but also this thing of, why didn't you help me when I needed it? I don't need it now. I've saved myself. Because that's what Jimmy has done. you know? And so it's almost this audacity, right, from Jimmy's perspective of like, really? Now? F you. I'm going to put a burning ball through your car. It's petty, but I get the emotion, I get the feeling, I get why Jimmy would be in that place. But goddamn, that is a nice house. Oh really, you're just seeking them out now? You shouldn't. Maybe even just wants to let him beat him up. Now he means business, eh? Yeah. Ow. Ooh. Ay. Yeah, I mean, what do you think was going to happen? You didn't care. That's the point, right? This is the thing. He's at rock bottom. And that is somewhere where a person is primed to do something or make a decision they ordinarily wouldn't want to do, i.e. go back to Gus, which is where we know he goes. I mean, considering the setting here, feels very much like Gus grabbed him. Or even Lalo, actually. Lalo? Feels more Lalo. Maybe he was tailing him. Kind of looks like a gingerbread house. Nom nom nom. Okay, sorry, it is kind of wild that he went from there to there. Cool, interesting. I don't know, I feel like Lalo maybe got him, actually. I'm just thinking there was a crucifix on a shelf, I think. And I don't know that Gus is really religious, or at least overtly. Maybe I'm talking out of my bottom there. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. But I just feel like the Salamancas are more so. And Lalo being the top Salamanca makes sense. Really cool episode. I'm doubling down on what I kind of said, I think last episode, of these episodes in season 5 are just so strong. There's so much in them, which makes absolute sense, but this continuing the trend, and it seems as if it's paying off stuff that I didn't really even know was there, or hadn't, I suppose, let's say, more so stuff I just hadn't really talked about but has been building up and has been there, right? I suppose, you know, I'm talking about the stuff Jimmy and Kim, how they're essentially the same, just the opposite, different ends of the spectrum almost, but they do have those elements of commonality that means I think that their relationship works. And I think that's why the relationship works. That's why they're still together when they've been so kind of fluctuating and kind of, like I say, both at these opposite ends of the spectrum. That's kind of their main path, their main goal, the good and the bad, the responsible and the irresponsible. That exists and that's where they are. But as characters, they slip, you know? It's weaker when they kind of slip, right? Saul is less good than he used to be. Kim is less bad than she used to be. But that's kind of what is happening. And I think because of that similarity in character in where they are and what they've been doing and what they are still doing, and they're slipping back and forth, means that their relationship can work because they're kind of, it's some common ground. And it's like, to some extent, they do agree with one another. They're just going about it different ways, largely. And then obviously, again, interestingly, the connection between Mike and Gus too. And I suppose we'll kind of see how that cliffhanger plays out. It would be interesting if Lalo's taken him. It would kind of make sense to me too, because I think Lalo took an interest in him with the whole Verne thing, and I think I think to Lalo's mind, Mike is a door, because I think there's still a lot of mystery around that for him, and Mike is a door to kind of open, or at least there's an opportunity to open that door with Mike, right? If he can kind of flip him, right? I mean, Mike is essentially a lone gun right now. He's on his own. He's not really feeling that good towards Gus either. He's ready to be flipped. So yeah, we shall see on that front. But yeah, that was Namaste. Thank you so much for watching. If this was your first Better Call Saul Sunday, please do subscribe to catch any more. There are some links down in the description if you fancy some early access. I've got Patreon, YouTube memberships. It's on tier 2 if you are interested. Thank you as always to those who do support me. Genuinely, just thank you. Please do consider watching either of these videos right here to keep the hype train rolling. But that is all from me. More Better Call Saul coming soon. I hope you have a great week. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you then.